Social media is a long-term game, and if you need a deal yesterday, it is not going to be your best lead generation strategy. I got this email recently, and reading it really tugged at my heartstrings because I've been there where I really needed a closing to happen ASAP. In some cases, I needed it to happen like the week before. And it's a very difficult position to be in. And it's a position that I would say 95% of agents will find themselves in at some point when they're in the business between 1 and 3 years. If you can get past the 3 year mark, you should have developed consistency in your business. But getting your business off the ground is stressful, it's a grind. And if you've watched me for any amount of time, you know that I am a big believer in social media. It has changed my business. And when done correctly, it will generate leads consistently. But you cannot expect to get into real estate and post on social media for a month or even 3 months and expect to get a consistent flow of leads. I'm not saying there is going to be an outlier agent, and kudos to them if they ramp up really quickly on social media. But for the rest of us, you are looking at a long term lead generation strategy when you start going all in on social media. And consistency is an absolute must when you are getting your account off the ground. I would estimate that on average, it's going to take 6 to 12 months before you see leads consistently coming in on social media. And that's assuming that you are doing it correctly and have appropriate content buckets that not only show your knowledge, but also show who you are as a person so that you give your audience something to connect to. And reading this agent's email brought me back to my earlier days. And I just want to make sure that I'm being transparent that yes, I push social media on this channel regularly. It is a big lead pillar in my business, but it's not my only lead pillar. And it's not what I would do if I was in a position financially that it was imperative and basically a must in order to pay my bills and stay in the business. First thing, when you are a brand new agent, if you don't have reserves or someone in your life who can financially support you until you start closing consistently, I would recommend having some type of other income. And that's going to depend on your personal situation and how much income you need. For me, when I first got into the business, I definitely had no clue what I was doing. I had no clue how to build a business. And I was on an extremely shoestring budget. It was tight. And I walked dogs during the day, in the mornings, late morning, for the first 6 months I was in the business. And I got licensed in September and had my first closing right after Thanksgiving. So it really wasn't a long time for me to get a closing on the books, but I still needed some type of income coming in to make sure that I was giving myself the runway to actually get going and not lose before I even got started. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think the real estate industry in general, not everyone, but from a general standpoint, sort of puts down part-time agents or says you can't be part-time and be successful in real estate. And I don't believe that. As long as you have a job that has flexibility and allows you to still work on your real estate business and be responsive to leads and other agents, you certainly can do that for the short term. I don't think it's sustainable long term, and I don't think it should be the long term goal because at the end of the day, full time agents who are consistently closing and have an actual real estate business running are always going to serve clients better. They're immersed in the market more. And that is not to say, before you come at me, that full time agents are better than part time agents. Not true at all. I know plenty of really crappy full time agents, and I know plenty of really great part time agents. It just depends on what the other job is that you have that you are using to bring income in. The other thing that I would be conscious of as a brand new agent trying to get my business off the ground is I'm always going to go back to you need to know who your ideal client is and who you're speaking to. But if within that, you also need a closing ASAP, then you have to think about what lead generation strategies are going to get you in front of people who are ready to transact right away. And that could be hosting open houses on a regular basis. I would say at least 2 a weekend, preferably 4 if you don't have any clients and have the time to do it. The other thing that you can do is work for sale by owners. And maybe those aren't your ideal clients starting out, but if it means that you are getting yourself in front of people who are ready to transact, that is much better than trying to do a long-term play on social media or on YouTube and then finding yourself in a position where financially you simply can't stay in the real estate industry. And the first couple of years are going to be tough. There's no two ways about it. You are going to have to hustle your ass off to not become one of the statistics in the real estate industry. And part of that is the class that we all pass to get our license teaches us absolutely nothing about serving clients and growing a business. But the other part of that is you're growing a business. Successful businesses are not built overnight. They take time, they take perseverance, they take thick skin. You're going to lose a lot more than you win initially. And it's just sort of the price of entry, I would say. You're going to fail, you're going to learn, and you're going to grow from it. And you've got to be able to keep going mentally, but also financially. And I share all of this to say that I think there are a lot of you in the position of this person who sent me the email. She gave me permission to put the email up for you all, but not share a lot of her personal story or her name. And I assured her she is not alone. It took guts to send that email. And part of being a new real estate agent is understanding the business in general. And for the most part, there is a very long cultivation period from the time someone reaches out to you to when they are actually sitting at the closing table with you. And that's something you have to factor in when you're doing your business planning. Nobody's finances are the same. You know your finances better than anyone. And you've got to be honest with yourself about starting a real estate business. There's going to be some money that you have to invest to get your business going to the point that you can legally sell real estate. And I'm a big believer of bootstrapping. When you are a brand new agent, you've got more time than money in the majority of cases. So I'm not implying that you have to go into debt or spend, tens of thousands of dollars to start a real estate business, but you do have to be realistic that you are going to be growing your own business. And that is going to take some type of financial investment in order to get to the point that you are successfully serving clients and getting to the closing table. So when you are thinking about getting your license, or even if you are newly licensed and aren't sure what you're going to be doing to lead generate, keep in mind that different strategies are going to produce different outcomes in the form of timeline. And I'm not saying that I think open houses or for sale by owners or working expired listings are better than social media or YouTube. I don't think that. But I do think that if you're in a position where it's coming down to you need to get clients ASAP, there is a lot of time sensitivity around you actually getting a closing because of your financial situation, that you have to really be savvy about where you're using your time in order to find clients. And then as you start getting closings, you can always shift to doing social media or starting a YouTube channel. And I would even say that you could do that while you're hosting open houses or while you are working for sale by owners or door knocking or these other avenues that you can go to attempt to get business going faster. You could still be showing up on social media and building your account out, but you are going to find that social media, in the majority of cases, is not going to get a client sliding into your DMs in a week's time. That's just not how it works. It is a slow burn. You are going to be continually putting content out for months at a time. And early on, when you are just starting your account, you really have got to commit to it and be consistent. And it will pay off long term. And I would say long term, it's also a better use of your time because, particularly on YouTube, you're building a content library. And I think that Instagram is similar. Like, yes, you have to keep feeding both of them, but you are putting your library out there for people to be able to get to know you and connect with you. And over time, that means you are putting yourself out there to the masses instead of a one-on-one ratio, or if you're doing open houses, if you're lucky, a 1 to 10, 15 ratio. So it just depends on where you are in your business. But I wanted to share this with you all so that I'm being transparent that it's not going to just happen overnight. And financially, you've really got to prepare for that, because part of starting a business is understanding your budget and your finances. And it's something that you should be involved in constantly so that you know how much money you have, you know where that money is going, and you know how quickly you need to get more money coming in. If you got some value from this, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It always helps me out. I really do appreciate you watching. And until I see you on the next one, take care.